We begin tonight with that news alert that we just sent to your phone. Between long wait times, miscommunication, and setbacks, for nearly 6 months, the DEO has faced scrutiny and backlash because of ongoing problems with its website and unemployment process. All of that in the midst of a pandemic that has put hundreds of thousands of Floridians out of work. Today, the DEO chief, Ken Lawson, submitted his resignation letter to Governor DeSantis. In it, he said that he is, quote, turning the page and moving forward after 9 years. Lawson was pulled from his spot as executive director of DEO in mid-April when unemployment system failures continued to pile up. In May, Governor DeSantis and other state leaders called for an investigation into the DEO system as the site Connect went down for another weekend to catch up on claims and payments. The governor discussed his resignation during a press conference at USF this afternoon.
We have a replacement, and we'll give you that name very soon. So I think we've got, John Satter came in to look over just the unemployment because we obviously were having major issues. It wasn't being moved along the way we wanted it. John came in and really, I think, helped get it up and running. But John also has an agency that he's got to look over, and so we'll be hopefully having the announcement, I think, probably tomorrow.
In early June, 10 Investigates tracked down a memo from Lawson, who at the time was the president of Visit Florida, to DeSantis' transition team in December 2018. The memo listed 3 potential threats the new DEO leadership should consider addressing, including technological and administrative capabilities of the Reemployment Assistance Program. The memo said the technology may struggle if the volume of claims increases. Now, Orlando State Representative Anna Escamani has been a strong advocate for people seeking unemployment benefits. She posted this on her Facebook page today. It reads, quote, "We haven't seen Ken Lawson or Secretary John Satter in months. As far as I'm concerned, he wasn't even at DEO anymore. We need to completely dismantle and rebuild the DEO with new people and policies."